radio in Zimbabwe. I had a sort of like a flashback into time. But obviously, because Namununkuru, they sound different from how I remembered them. But it was still exciting to hear them. So let's see if they're also going to trigger feelings in you and if you can actually tell whose voice is whose. 0719 100 404. It is Easy Love Sigala coming through. Makadzi Faults JT May 10 Forever played. Willie Paul Original also played. Youngster African Cubs at the Small came and gave us Adwele on Capital 100.4 FM. Harare Zabir. All right. So here's the first voice. Can you tell me whom this voice belongs to? 0719 100 404.
Take no prisoners. We are here to rule. Capital 100.4 FM at 8. Harari's heartbeat. # dominate.
Guess what? It's World Radio Day, and what better way to spend it than with us here at Capital 100.4 FM.
And so that's the first voice, 0719 100 404. Can you place the name to that voice? We've got 3 more lined up for you on this hour. The legends that we grew up listening to right here. Well, I was about to say right here on Capital 100.4 FM, but Capital wasn't there then, but it was radio. As you might remember it, you're also sharing with us your memories of radio. What were they like? When was radio your companion? I love the support you were also giving me with Tete Shami. For like, if you want to win this, you better play Atlantic Star, Secret Lovers. Okay? For like, actually, both songs were great. But both were sounding great between Chitekete and Love TKO. Because for like, radio is not going anywhere. Radio is one of those sources of reliable, authentic information for the public. Online sources can be hard to verify and have a high risk of misinformation, disinformation. AI is going to generate more and more information than humans soon. Artificial information for that matter, be it art, music, literature, and soon movies. So I will remain hooked to my radio. I'm smiling. And you for like on my radio. Radio Capera ndo yauzogara newe ndichiwaivhirako every day. Haha, that's very, very, very funny. Because the radio will never die. This is Kutama. Radio informs, it entertains, it educates. Radio, I love this. And the radio heals. Radio will never fade. This is coming from Karikoga. Thanks for coming in. Tete Nora then joins the discussion. Guys, happy Radio Day. Radio has always been a companion. That's where I heard new songs in the era of vinyls, cassettes, and CDs. And so I remember watching TV on mute, listening to radio while ironing. It has always been an escape as well. The other thing is one can work while listening to radio, so it won't die. Your thoughts about radio dying? Others have said radio is going to die. Do you agree with that? And as I'm checking with you, getting into Under the Hood, climate change, as we are celebrating World Radio Day and talking about climate change. You can climate change. We're under the hood. Do you think if I were to ask them to explain what climate change is in their mother tongues, would they be able to do just that? We will find out in a second. Just send us an audio note explaining what climate change is in Shona. We're not looking for the direct translation of the words climate change. In 60 seconds, what would that sound like? All right, so that was the first voice for today. 0719 100 404. Can you tell me, can you recognize whom this voice belongs to?
Radio Day. This is Capital 100.4 FM.
That's the first voice. Let me know. Can you figure out whose voice that is?
Tales of Matusadona, Under the Hood is proudly brought to you by Zimoyo, the official distributor of the Mercedes-Benz, Jeep, Alfa Romeo, Mitsubishi, Haval, and GWM brands in Zimbabwe. Let's drive into the world of the motor industry, brought to you by the motor vehicle expert, Zimoyo. Specialized service for special brands.
And that's exactly what you're about to experience. So as we always do, we close up our Thursday with a little bit of fun and laughter as we are checking out what's been happening, the latest trends in and around your car industry. This is your ultimate car guide. Whether you're looking to buying a car, whether it's maintenance, it is everything automotive. Maybe you're just looking to upgrade, but we have got you covered. And today we are looking into some new releases. We're getting also some insider tips of what's happening, and of course we're tackling our mechanical issue, which you, by the way, can come through asking questions, looking into what we are. And don't forget, we test your car knowledge with Guess the Car Challenge, the highway code, plus we're going to be connecting all this to World Radio Day. All right, so let's buckle up. And joining us this morning, as always, let me start off by that is new to our show. So I said let me introduce to you, and I was looking at our regular. So he thought it was as cute to come in, and then I flipped the script and we went to our lovely guest for the day. Now, our guest is someone who has a very interesting backstory, but she actually set up a business where she spends time steaming, cleaning your cars. And that's why I'm so excited for you to meet Liz. Liz, good morning. Welcome to Capital. How are you?
I'm great. Okay, thank you so much for inviting me here.
Lily. Sorry, Lily. I don't know where Liz came from. Lily. How are you doing, Lily?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me here.
And also joining us is our regular, Tafadzwa, our favorite marketing officer who's coming in from Zimoyo. Taf, good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm actually quite excited to get right into some of those hot stories for today. And of course, coming up later, we're going to have our car off. Since Lily and Taf are here, we're going to be having our verses. Let's start off by what's happening with China. As always, China is making headlines in our car industry. They are leading in terms of technology, but also now, as far as infrastructure it is concerned. Talk to us about the solar and wind-powered charging stations that they are putting up.
Yeah, so I think these days when you talk about vehicles, you cannot ignore China. China has become the biggest exporter of vehicles in the world, and China is at the forefront right now in terms of vehicle technology. So any conversation we have about vehicles, China will always be mentioned. And they're making more moves. They're not just making the cars, they're moving very quickly when it comes to infrastructure as well. Mm-hmm. So in the city of Nanjing, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, they have now put up 351 public charging stations, which are all powered by renewable energies. When you say renewable, we're talking about solar or wind power or wind turbine powered facilities. So it's essentially a free source of energy coming from nature. Mm-hmm. And this is a big step because they are advancing the technology so that essentially electrified power is coming from an off-grid solution. Mm-hmm. Very important for the environment. Let's talk about figures. What they're saying is all the cars in Nanjing that will be powered by these stations will drive a combined 360 million kilometers. And that's from free renewable energy. Now imagine this. Take all those cars, replace all these stations with fuel being put in the cars to travel the same kilometers. That's a lot. That's a lot of emissions. That's a lot in terms of logistics to bring the fuel to the petrol stations themselves. In terms of your other compound particles coming to the air, it's a lot of pollution coming in. That's all been done away by the fact that they're putting up these stations. And it's not the only ones. This is more or less a pilot they're doing, and will introduce to more and more Chinese cities as time goes forward. It's a big step forward. Electric energy, the biggest problem was, okay, source of energy. What's the problem? I think in Zimbabwe we have that problem. We haven't fully adopted electric because people say, what if there's no power to charge them? Here's a solution. Let it be refined in China, and later down the line, we will stand to see the benefits.
Yeah. 41,000 tons of CO2 is what these power charging stations would be cutting out. My question is, this is going to be a lot of charging stations, right?
Yeah.
Does this mean we're going to be seeing, because when you look at solar farms, they can be very ugly and they take up space, right? So that you can put up solar charging stations. what would the solution be to that, do you think?
Well, I don't think they actually take up that much space. So I actually deep dived and had a look at the story just to see, okay, what does the infrastructure look like? Because you're quite right. To most people, they'll think, okay, they have to take up a field to try that. It's actually not the case. So what they've done is, if you think of your typical service station. Most of them have a roof above it. So the infrastructure pretty much mimics that. It looks like a service station, albeit the roof is not as high as the current service stations you can think, or the ones that are in mind. And there's just solar panels on top of that. And that's all that's required to power at least 5 of these points. So it's not a very big footprint. It's actually very good.
Would you, as you're listening in, switch to EV if we as a country, Zimbabwe, had better charging infrastructure? 0719 100 404. Lilly, I'm also checking with you, having lived overseas. Now you've moved back home. Would you yourself consider having a full EV if we had infrastructure?
Of course. Absolutely. I absolutely don't like going to the gas station and smelling fuel. I would definitely love to charge my car overnight while I sleep and wake up and drive. Absolutely, I can't wait.
I see what you mean. Now, I belong to the other WhatsApp group. I actually love the smell of... Did I get into I get dizzy. 07191. I love... Not a far so what? It's almost like you can drink it.
Yeah, a few people have said that.
Why are you looking at me as if I've drank it? What's wrong with
No, not judging eyes, wondering eyes. That's all. Just wondering eyes. That's all.
I shan't even ask what it is that you are wondering. But also, as you're listening in, do you think you would switch to an EV if we as a country had better charging infrastructure, or you're happy, like me, to drive through a filling station? 0719 100 404. And how do you, as you're listening in, see EVs fitting into the future of our African mobility? So we're moving from China. Let's also talk about a Volvo and how it has become possibly the safest car.
Yeah, that's it. So this is 100% the safest car, or the claim is at least that this is Volvo's safest car to date. So everyone knows Volvo for one thing. They were the go-to. Well, I say this respectfully. They were the go-to people when it came to safety standards in vehicles, because they pioneered a lot of systems that were used for safer driving back in the days, and even in more modern vehicles. Competition exists. So they lost that mantle a long time ago, but they're back again with the EX90, which is a 7-seater SUV, and it significantly cements Volvo as a contender to having one of the safest cars on the road right now. So this has been long in the works. You can imagine, because this is the flagship model that Volvo makes. So they had to take their time to make sure they're refining the model, and it comes with big claims. 1, it has a lot of technology infused within it. 2, it's fully electric. Unfortunately, for Laka, you won't like that. And 3, the claim is that they've made such sophisticated steps in the way of passenger compartment and occupant safety that it will be tipped as the safest car that Volvo is or will make for the current foreseeable future.
All right. So talk to us a little bit more about the safety features in this car.
So it comes with quite a host of autonomous driving modes, and most of them are quite advanced, a little bit more than what you'd expect in your typical car, or a car that's equal to it. Remember, this is their flagship model, so it's going up against vehicles like the BMW iX and the Mercedes-Benz EQS, which is the large SUV electrified models. So these are very luxury cars, and Volvo is stepping into the same space. So you have to compete with the big dogs. So they put in quite a lot of stuff in terms of cutting edge technology, a very powerful powertrain that we talked about in the electrical motor. In fact, it's a dual motor. The advanced driver assistance systems are very interesting because they've worked together with Google to actually come up with these. And I think it's a very good launching pad for both Google and Volvo itself, because they're trying to pioneer some new systems which are away from the norm that are being made. So when you pioneer a system, to make it stand out, you have to put more features. It has to have a very good use case application. And I think that's going to work very well in their favor. But the proof is when the product comes out, which will be tipped towards the end of this year.
I'm finding it very interesting in Zimbabwe that Volvo is not very common, very popular, especially the much newer generations of Volvo. I wonder why. 0719-100-404, looking at just how, in terms of reliability, in terms of safety, in terms of the drive, because I think Volvos do drive quite smoothly.
Yeah.
For some reason, their uptake is not big in our Zimbabwe. Why do you think that is? Lily, why do you think that is?
I think it's overpriced for one. Parts. So it's not easy to get parts in Zimbabwe. And having this electricity issues, they have so many advancements and that do require electricity and fuel. I don't think we can operate on those vehicles unless there's a beautiful event you want to go show off at. And something to say about the EX90. Yes, it's a very safe vehicle, but that screen touch thing that they have, it's so hard to operate while you're driving, to maneuver the whole car on a screen touch. How are you going to look off the road and then work the screen?
That is a very interesting observation. And because this is Zimbabwe, I don't think we've fully experienced this new technology that's coming in of wider displays on the dash that are fully touch, that are fully interactive. Because last week we were speaking about this. We spoke about a car that's going to be has got a holographic effect on the windscreen. Did we say it's going to be projecting your screen, your dash on your windscreen, which to a driver? And we had similar questions about safety. How safe are these things? And Taf was saying the whole idea is actually safety. And you're saying, but if it's fully touch and it's integration on your display, is it really safe if I can enjoy looking at it, being distracted versus looking on the road?
Yeah, I think it will be a safe system. The reason being that we've talked about cars becoming more and more connected these days, and this is in the sense that information is becoming king. So these wider displays are becoming more prevalent because one, they afford entertainment to passengers. Two, they give the driver more information about what's going on. But the third aspect, most people don't talk about that, is how you interact with these systems, and it's no longer just by touch, physical touch. You can now do it by voice, which is where a lot of the systems actually work. You just talk a command and feedback is given immediately.
I get what you're saying, but I hear what Lily is saying, because the more convenient they've become, the easier it is to get distracted. So if I like to listen to my music, right, on through that display, the more interesting and easy it is to navigate, the better. Isuzu is annoying when it comes to infotainment, and that means you're less likely to fiddle with it when you're driving. But if it's going to look seamless, it's going to look funky, it's going to be fun, chances are I'm probably going to interact with it, even under the prefix of it being safer.
No, 100%. That's good. It's a good concern, and you're quite right. And the guys who make these systems are very clever. One, there's other systems that work together with these. Lane keep assist, Distronic in terms of like distance keeping with the car in front or behind you, cars beside you. The cars actually display and they have a view of the environment around them. And even if you are somewhat distracted, these cars are made in a way that they maintain some type of anatomy that they drive by themselves, and they interact. But there is also the fail-safe system that the driver should not have their attention completely taken away from their main function, which is driving the vehicle. So they actually monitor your eyes, and if you're distracted for too long, it actually switches off the screen that you're looking at, and it forces you to look back up. It does. But it takes away the distraction. And also these systems, when I've interacted with them, what I found is that on the driver's side, they are a bit more muted. Information is compressed and much easier to see at a glance, and so it doesn't really jump at you. But for everyone else in the car, where the screen or the sizes of the screens is actually shouting out to, it's easier for passengers to see, but not the driver themselves.
Now with the EX90, the issue was the fogging lights. To activate them, you had to touch the screen to activate the defogging lights. And for you to get there while you're in a fog,
Well, that's it.
that's a conundrum.
It becomes a catch-22 situation.
That becomes a catch.
This is very interesting. 0719-100-404. What do you think about Lily's observation and what Taf is saying? If the display in your car becomes more interactive, more sophisticated, does it then in itself not work against the whole safety aspect? Because now it's much easier and more interesting to navigate. Even with voice prompts, you might find yourself trying to navigate your playout system a little bit more. 0719 and playout system, your messages, everything else that your smartphone can actually integrate with your phone. 0719 100 404. Still to come, and we will reveal the answer later. You get to guess which car we are highlighting for today, the car icon of the day. We give you clues, and you get to guess what car it is. Taff, what are our clues for today's car?
So this one became an instant classic.
I actually drove it as my
There
first car.
And you still see plenty of these on the road. It was available in a four-door option, but more popularly during the time, which is 1994, as a two-door option. So this is the car that is usually credited as creating the compact crossover or the compact SUV segment in the entire world. It was introduced in 1994, and it was made with the mindset that blends your traditional efficient driving and then a little bit of ruggedness if you want to go somewhere a bit rougher. It was very practical at the time and offered a very high ride height, which made it very good when you had to go somewhere where challenges were a bit more commonplace. It came available in a four-wheel drive system or an all-wheel drive system. It had very car-like based platform and drove like a smaller car, even though it had a larger body associated with it. It does hail from Japan, and it became instantly recognizable when it came out as a very small SUV and paved the way for other renditions of the same car and for other manufacturers to dive into the world of small SUVs.
0719 100 404. Can you guess the car? And whilst you're trying to guess which car that is, here is our second voice for the day. You get to come through 0719 100 404 and let us know if you remember who this radio icon is. Take a listen.
Bonjour, Capital. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Comment allez-vous? J'espère que la journée se passe bien. Greetings, Capital Radio, and how are you? I hope that your day is going well. Today, the 13th of February, is World Radio Day. In this 13th year, the day was first announced by UNESCO member states in 2011, and 2 years later, the United Nations General Assembly declared it an international day. The theme for World Radio Day for 2025 is Radio and Climate Change, a powerful tool for climate action. This is a call for radio stations the world over to lead the way in promoting safe environments and by extension a safe world, free of climate change-induced natural disasters. And last year, 2024, and the year before that, so many of them. The effects of climate change spare no one. We suffer the consequences as a human collective. As we observe World Radio Day, today we also happen to be commemorating the 80th anniversary of the birth of reggae icon, the late great Robert Nesta Marley. I'm sure most of you know his music. I thought I would take this opportunity to dedicate one of the most compelling songs from the unmade Bob Marley repertoire, a song entitled "For You to Go Bad." For me to you, look after yourselves and each other. Good day, bonjour.
All right, so can you tell who that radio icon is? Guy, the first one is Nyara Kombe. I can see why you'd say that, but no, you're wrong. It is not Nyara Kombe. We played you two so far. I'll do a recap of the first voice. Let me know if you can put together who she is. Voices that you grew up listening to on radio. That's voice number 2. We still got 2 more for you to come through and guess as we are making our way through Under the Hood every single Thursday, looking into automotive information. You too can ask questions as you can participate, and we will be getting under the hood to our mechanical issue of the day. We've just been given clues of the car icon. It was actually my car for a while. And funny story, I had so driven a Dagi, and Dagi was a hard teacher, Dagi being my dad. Because I was working as a student teacher at that time, I had to drive to where the pickup point would be, because the school would have buses at different pickup points, and then they'll pick you and take you to the school. In fact, the school is here in Southerton. So every morning I had to drive to the bus pickup point. One day I cried to my mom and I said, "Mom, I can't do this. Dad is so hard on me. I don't want to learn how to drive." Lo and behold, that's what I license. The day I got the license, the very Monday, he was like, "There are your car keys. You're driving yourself to work." And that was the car. that I drove
Nice.
for years. 0719-100-404. This car was first launched in 1994. It has changed. It actually did change the SUV game. I actually thought my car was an off-road, but it really wasn't at that time. It was the first compact crossover. It blends comfort with SUV practicalities. Again, if I give you this clue, I think you might know what it is. Let us know if you can come through and guess what it is. Right, Taf, let's also talk a little bit more around something that's been happening, also affecting us as Zimbabweans, the idea of counterfeit products.
Yes.
So you may notice counterfeit products are growing in our country, especially if you go up to Kaguvi Street, whether it's lubricants, car parts, food, cosmetics. And there are major oil product producers worldwide that have come up with the solution. Total Energies lubricants has been facing fake oil products on the market.
Yeah, they have been. And this is you know what, you have to think about oil, as funny as it sounds, is considered a part.
Or it's a car part.
It's considered a car part.
Ah.
In as much as it's a liquid, yes, it's a car part because it helps other parts within the
It's
engine.
lube.
Exactly. And it plays a very vital role and had to be changed at intervals. I encourage everyone to change their oil at least twice a year, every 6 months, because oil loses its viscosity over time. Even if the car is parked doing nothing, the oil gets thinner, which is not good for your engine. So, a little pro tip: you need to change your oil and your oil filter at least twice a year.
Right.
In 6 month intervals. But anyway, back to the topic. Counterfeit oil is a problem. Imagine this. You are involved in an accident and you have to have a blood transfusion, but you're given blood that's watered down. It's not going to be good for you. Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be good for you. You're not going to get well. You're not going to help the aid in the recovery process. In fact, it'll probably do more harm than good. Oil is the same thing in vehicles. This is the lifeblood for a car. And if that quality of the oil is not correct, in the case of counterfeit products, it's going to cause more harm than good. You put oil in the vehicle for a good reason, to lubricate moving parts, and to also lower the temperature of some moving parts in the engine as it works. Now, if you put the wrong product or a counterfeit product, it's going to cause problems. So it's quite right that people like Total Energies have actually put out quite a number of educational campaigns to let people know what their product, what it should look like, the drawbacks of using the incorrect one, and I think it goes out to the wider lubricant sector as well, because counterfeit lubricants for your cars or oils for your cars will cause you lots of problems, up to and including complete engine failure. Is it cheaper to buy the correct oil that is maybe slightly more expensive than the alternative, or is it cheaper to replace an engine? That's the question I pose out to people.
Yeah. And interestingly, how is Total Energies tackling the idea of counterfeit? We hear they've teamed up with Scribbers and they're introducing ways for you to verify that it's not a counterfeit product?
Yeah, that's it. So there's always, like, just with any product, original or counterfeit, there is selling telltale signs, markers on the packaging itself that show that it's correctly authentic. So they're educating people, just like currency. Think of money, really. Like whenever a new currency comes out, we're educated on the security features. So your oil is not different. There's a certain amount of security features. There's talk about the colors, retailers where you can be bought from officially. There's hotlines they've put out there that people can call to inquire, serial numbers which you can reference back to. So they've actually done quite a lot, I think, and also the education campaign to let people know that what the genuine product does versus the alternative in terms of harm to your engine. So that's very important. I think it's about communicating with the audience of people using the oil, because you can only try limit the flow as much, but some counterfeit product will still get in the market. But it's up to the people when they're purchasing at the point of purchase to recognize or to know that they are buying the genuine article, because in some cases you might be told it is when it isn't.
Would you trust a QR scan code to verify that a product is indeed authentic before you bought it? And this was fake. It wasn't even the original car part, but you've already bought it and you've gone, I discovered spark plugs can never be, if the original can never be $5. Is that true?
Yeah, yes.
My boss.
Oh, listen.
Can never be $5.
Yeah, no. If it's $5, listen, it's not a Bosch. It might look like one.
Hanzi Angari on sale. That's what the guy said to me. They were on sale, so they were cheaper for them to bring them here. So they didn't have reason.
If I put my marketer's hat on, sale is a fancy way of saying buy this thing we don't want anymore.
So it's still a problem either way, even if it were original.
Yeah,
and they've marked it down.
No, it's not original. Chances are it's just to lure you to think you're getting a good bargain, but you're not.
Ouch. Ouch.
Lily, have you ever bought a product, a car part, and then discovered later that it was fake?
Tons of times.
What?
Tons of times. As a woman, you're a victim of just being a woman and assume that you don't know what you're buying anyways. So here you are trying to be convenient to the mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
You get the original part from your car. You go to the shop. Hey, can I have the same one?
Yeah.
And you never know.
You will never
you
know.
never know. It's like, okay, it looks the same.
I'm wondering, for us in Zim, scan codes, QR codes, are those a great deterrent for fake versus authentic?
It's nice to have them, but I don't think they are deterrent. The biggest problem I have with them is this: the people who produce the counterfeit bits, they'll buy the original to replicate it. They see the QR code. How difficult is it to replicate that? You can put that onto your packaging, so probably not. I think you need stronger security features, holographic stamps. Oh no, it's a visual cue. You don't have to do anything. It's the material itself, it costs a little bit more. That it will put it out of favor for counterfeiters because it costs more to buy that actual little holographic stamp.
Right.
So
I need
it's
to
a
say
sign of authority. So it changes color as you. Yes.
Okay.
So that thing is it's
like
it's
on
good,
your number plate.
Exactly. It's a good deterrent for original products who produce things like this in bulk, because you can take the economies of scale, buying this thing in bulk and put it on there, and then the perceived price as you put it per product comes way down.
Yeah.
But a counterfeit person making a counterfeit product, they think about every cent, They want to keep the costs as down as possible, so they won't invest in things like that.
Are these counterfeits being made in this country?
No, most times no. Most times no.
Is it possible that the sellers may not be aware that they're counterfeit?
It could be. It's a possibility. It's not to say that
Like
everyone out there is
they were convinced that they were.
They could have been told they're on sale and they're buying them in bulk and taking them. So they thought, it's a good deal. I can get a bit more. So you can't really fault the seller per se.
Yeah.
But in some cases they might be aware as well. You can never know 100%. But where you're sourcing your product. One tip I said, and Lily brought a very good point. If you're a lay person and you're not sure about what you want to buy, what I always encourage people to do, especially when it comes to car parts, go to the original people who sell these parts. People who deal with these. Go to the official workshops or the official dealerships. Ask them, sorry, I have this car. How much is the spare part?
Official in Zimbabwe. Where are you getting official Bosch
Oh
supplier?
no, go to whichever, if you have whichever car in Nissan, Toyota, Benz, GWM, whatever it is, go to the outfit, the official distributor of those things, and just ask them for a quotation. Oh, sorry, I'm looking for spark plugs for my car. How much are they? They'll give you a quotation. That forms a benchmark. Then go look at a reputable place which sells car parts as well, but maybe the aftermarket parts. Get their price and then go down to Kaguya and see the price. You get three very clear prices, but very soon you find out that the originals are $50.
Yeah.
The middle of the road ones maybe about $20. Then the on sale ones are $4. There's something wrong there. Go for the middle of the road there.
I don't know. I tried that when I was trying to replace a car part for my car, and I went to the official dealer of that car. Now their price was $600. This was an oxygen sensor I needed to replace, and by the way, this model was like 2008, and they charged me $600.
Yeah. Now
take a wild guess. By the time I looked outside the country, how much that oxygen sensor for a 2009 model cost me?
Outside the country?
Yeah.
Probably more than likely for aftermarket, I'll say about $30.
$600 compared to that. Even if you say $100, the comparison there.
So another fun fact, you brought a good point. People don't realize this. The older certain models become, and this is a very, very truthful of the German models, the older the car becomes, the more expensive the parts get.
$600.
It's original, but outside the country, it's probably not the original. It's a approved aftermarket part. It's a lot cheaper.
$600 more expensive.
Yeah.
So how much would a brand new car 2014 oxygen sensor cost?
Oh yeah, probably not too far from 600 here. Maybe about less than that. but still more than if you just source it outside, more than likely.
07191040. Have you yourself ever bought counterfeit products and then perhaps you didn't even know, or then later you found out that it was counterfeit? And how do you think we can come up with a way as a country to be able to verify that a product is authentic? Imagine trying to buy a car part and it's sold off to you as an original, but it's not. And then it has more problems, or at least even if you don't know the fact that it was misinformation. How do we handle that? 07191040. Can you believe we've got 4 minutes until we've got to say goodbye to each other?
Aww.
We haven't even gotten into our verses for the day. Taf, you were talking about can you give us the clues again for our car icon? Somebody says it's a Ford Forester. No, it is not a Ford Forester.
The Forester came way after, so no, not the Forester.
Mm.
This is again credited as being the first crossover vehicle, and it actually forced other manufacturers to start making cars of that size to compete with the popularity of this vehicle. It bridged the gap between your traditional small cars and of course your very large SUVs at the time, because that's all you had back in the days. It was known for its fuel efficiency, was available in an all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive configuration. It was very compact in size. The 3-door version of this vehicle was very popular, but it also had a 5-door version. And when asked, most people will recommend it over any other vehicle of its era.
07191040. Let's close off our show looking at a safety tip. Now, let's talk about the dirt that accumulates on our headlights. I think we've all had that, right? You buy your car, it has like initially crystal clear headlights, and then eventually they get murky, they get darker, they have like this yellow sometimes or a cloudy look, and they say it can actually reduce visibility by 80%. Now, Lily, you are in this business of cleaning cars. Safety tip for our listener today: how can they clean off that cloudy look from your headlight?
Thank you so much for asking that question. It isn't a big issue. It's always because of water. The plastic around the light, the headlight, attracts calcium buildup around your light, and then it has the mixture of dust that you drive as you drive. The soap doesn't usually help. The quality of your soap helps with maintaining that new look. So if you don't have that new look anymore, some people have used Colgate to brush that, to wipe off that mess.
Yes.
But the quickest way is to just get someone with a buffer, a car buffer, to buff it off within 2 minutes, and you've got your headlights back.
Literally that simple, just buffing it up.
Yes.
So I have used the toothpaste one, to be fair, and
It didn't work for you.
It did.
Yeah.
It did, but it's a temporary fix. I think it's not always permanent, but it does make a difference. What have you used to clean your headlights? Lily's saying get a buffer. That's one quick and easy way. I know you've tried something. What have you tried? You know, Valentine's Day is a time to show love and adoration for those special people in our lives. Marua, Zimbabwe was actually started over a decade ago by a son who wanted to send flowers to his mother in Zimbabwe from abroad. He realized how hard it was to find a reliable, trustworthy florist in Zimbabwe at the time, and so he decided to start his florist delivery service. Today, Marua Zim delivers stunning bouquets and gifts nationwide in Zimbabwe. They also do arrangements for events. Ordering and payments are wonderfully simple using Marua website and our WhatsApp. You can pay with EcoCash, EFT, PayPal, and any bank card. Mukuru, World Remit, Western Union, MoneyGram. You can literally send love in the form of flowers from anywhere in the world. To place your order, visit our website marua.co.zw. WhatsApp us on 0777 947 560. Make this Valentine's Day unforgettable with Marua Zimbabwe. Nobody came through and guessed our car of the week. Do you want to tell us quickly, Taf, what it is as we're dashing to the news?
The Toyota RAV4.
And this is where we are leaving our discussion today. We didn't even get to our car face-off. We'll do this again next week. Lily, it was so lovely to have you.
Thank you so much.
And we hope you'll be back again next week. For now, you were right. It was James Maridadi. And it was also Sophie Chamboko, whose voices you heard. Coming up, it's the news.
You're